Normally, today would be a Fiction Friday episode of the podcast, and I'd update you on my writing, my editing, and all the wonderful things that I'm doing in the world. But I haven't been doing anything. I haven't really been lounging around, or just laying around, or just taking time off. I've been trying to recharge my creative batteries, because, well, after writing a book, I was kind of drained. And that's what I want to talk about today, because it's one of the topics that I don't think we discuss enough when it comes to creativity. And that's keeping ourselves charged, keeping ourselves ready, keeping ourselves in a place where we can continue to create. So let's talk about that on today's Project Shadow.
Can you hear me? I have something to say.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? My name's Charlie. You might know me better as sci-fi fantasy writer C.E. Dorset. And today, I want to talk about taking it easy, but with a purpose. And that really does matter here. But before we get into all that, if you haven't already, please take a moment to rate this podcast in whatever app you're listening to me on. It really does help out a lot. It tells the algorithms to share the podcast with more people. The more people that listen, the bigger the community. The bigger the community, the better the chance we actually have of communicating with each other. And after all, that's why I do this podcast in the first place. Thank you to everybody who's already done that. Alrighty then, taking time off. See, I debated for a while whether I was going to actually talk about this on the show. I've brushed on this topic before, and you can find those episodes in the back catalog there, but, is there really enough to talk about here? I mean, after all, we write, we create, we do what we do, and then we just take some time off. We watch some Netflix or some Amazon Prime or play a game or listen to some music, and then magically our tank is filled back up and we're ready to run out there and take on the universe again. No, at least for me, it's not that simple. And it's been kind of a problem with me because, I try to take 2 days off a week because I need them. And one is my day. Saturday, my husband is still working. He's out of the house. So I take Saturday off. So I have a day of peace and rest, and I can do whatever I want, and I don't have to worry about what anybody else wants to do. I can just do my thing. Which has lately been kind of a problem because I don't know what my thing is anymore. You see, I got kind of obsessed with writing, and I was writing every day, even on my day off. And that can be a good thing, especially if the writing is flowing, and I'm not against that. And then I run a game on Sunday for my husband and some of our friends. And so that's more creative output that I have to do in a week. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But, yeah. Where's the time to recharge? Where's the time to take in new inspirations and just refill that tank? Because when my husband comes home at the end of the night, we pretty much watch something or play a game together. And, having that time to spend with family is really important to me. But I don't find it creatively recuperative. And that's something that I've learned about myself. There's rest and relaxation, and then there's refilling that tank, refilling that creative pool from which all of those images and ideas and characters spring to life. And that was tricky to learn. And I've talked in the past about how I've learned ways to do that, be that listening to music, reading a book, watching a movie that I really love, or playing a game. But it's becoming more tricky as time goes on. You see, that playing a game thing is something that has really helped me in the past, because if I can get thoroughly absorbed in something, and that's what I've learned, I have to get thoroughly absorbed in something so I lose track of time. If I don't lose track of time, my tank is not getting refilled. If I realize, it's been 10 minutes, it's been an hour, I'm not refilling my tank. I need to get into that flow state of pure relaxation, or it doesn't work. And no, napping, at least for me, doesn't count because I'm not a good sleeper and I feel every moment of that, and it's a problem. And it's a problem that I gave one of my characters in the new series that's coming out because it's a weird quirk. But I found for myself, I have to lose track of time. I have to be so involved, so enthralled in what I'm doing that I completely lose track of the world. And then that tank magically refills in the background. And it doesn't necessarily refill with the work that I'm doing, whatever it is. So just because I found an album that completely takes me out of myself to the point where I want to turn off the lights and just listen by candlelight to the wonderful sounds that are coming my way, or the book that I completely get lost in and I just want to stay with those characters and not let them go, or maybe it's the game that I just can't stop playing, either for the mechanics or the story. One way or the other, I have to lose myself. Because that's, I think, at least in my experience of the creative journey, the most important part of creativity. Losing that sense of self. Ego gets in the way of what we do creatively. I know in my own life, it's become such a problem that honestly, when I get an idea and I start working on a project, I cannot let myself start thinking about, is this good for the market? Is this going to sell? Is this going to be my breakout book? Is this going to be the book that gets me that Netflix series or that movie deal? I can't think that way. The moment my ego, my sense of self, my I gets brought into the project, it's gone. Never to be seen again. That's not true. I have been able to rescue some from that path of oblivion, but for the most part, any time I allow my ego to get involved, I start worrying, and that worry leads to doubt, and that doubt leads to anger, and that anger leads to hate, and that hate leads to suffering. And I found myself on the path to the dark side, and truly, truly, it will forever haunt my destiny. Yeah. There are several books that I just have sitting in a folder that I started work on, and I absolutely loved them, and then I made the stupid decision to start asking myself, will this sell? Will people like this? Yeah, dummy me. Should not have worried about that. Should not have cared, but I did, and I let myself start thinking about it, and everything fell apart. The idea fell apart. I picked it to death. And so, for me to get to this place where I can write, I need to lose that sense of identity. I need to lose myself in what I'm doing. Meditation helps. And I'm not here to give you a class on meditation, but there are some wonderful ones out there. I actually really like the creativity meditation in Headspace. It helps me a lot when I get stuck because it removes me from the equation. But it's a temporary fix. It's something to help get me focused and recentered and get the I out of the room. What I really need, and what I think everyone should at least try, if you don't already have it, is to find something where you completely and totally lose yourself. And I've had this be multiple things. Sometimes it's artwork. This morning, I redid the album art for this podcast. And while I'm using Sputters, and for those of you who've been around for a long time and know our dragon logo, it's a logo that's been with us for a while. Somehow I lost the HD master of that image. So I had to take a low-res image of Sputters and redo it. So I spent all day this morning recreating that image. And I lost myself in it, and it was glorious. And I do that sometimes with art. Not always. Art is one of the places where I get most self-critical. But sometimes with art, I've found that release in knitting, believe it or not. I love knitting. I just don't let myself find projects that I can do. And that's problematic. That's a whole different problem. But recently, I've been playing The Old Republic online again. And it's mainly because I had an account a long time ago, and I just wanted to play a game. So I thought, why not give it a try? Why not just see if this is something that works for me? It's free to play, or free to play-ish. And let's see. Let's just see if it's something that can distract me. And at least so far, it is. And that's wonderful. Because I forgot what it's like to really just lose myself in relaxation. And thanks to the holidays and allowing that itis that comes over me where it's the holidays and you don't want to be doing anything and you have some time to actually just sit and relax. Just being able to lose myself in something has been so wonderfully freeing. Because worse than not being able to keep my creative tank filled, I forgot what it felt like to feel free. Freedom is the most important thing that a writer, a creative, an artist can have. If you don't have that sense of freedom, your work will suffer. You will suffer. Everyone will suffer. And I'm not just talking about creative freedom. I'm self-published. I can write whatever I want to write, and I can put it out whenever I want to put it out. I don't answer to anybody in that sort of traditional way. But at the same time, there's all of these constraints that you start putting on yourself, these shackles, these fetters, these things that lock you down. Why did I stop playing games? Well, because I should be working, of course. I should be at least spending time thinking about the stories that I should be doing. So even while I'm watching a show on Amazon Prime or Netflix or any... Do I even have to mention Disney Plus? I've mentioned it almost too much on this show as it is. I find myself sitting there looking at how the plots are constructed, how the story is done, how the characters are told, and how everything unfolds. And all of this has become kind of a work life for me. When we watched The Witcher, I honestly couldn't tell you. That's why I haven't done an episode on it yet. I don't know if I liked The Witcher or not. I mean, it was really interesting seeing Henry Cavill play a character that I never imagined Henry Cavill playing. Because, well, all the things that I've seen Henry Cavill in, playing that sort of... that kind of blew me away. But as far as did I like it or not, I don't know. Because I spent most of my time thinking about, oh, so here's how we're doing this support character, and here's how we're doing that character, and oh, here's how they're developing that plot, and here's how they're developing the series plot through this thing. And I really enjoyed the way that they told the story out of chronological order. I really did like that. And I'm dissecting the story. I spent my entire time watching that show looking at its components, looking at its parts. It was like going out to dinner with my husband and one of his chef friends. And they just sit there, picking at their plate, naming all the herbs and spices and techniques that were used to make that plate come about. And when you ask them, well, do you like it? And they just kind of look at you and go, well, it was well this and well that and this and that. And again, comment on the bits and pieces. There's a place for that. There's definitely a place for that. But we were watching The Witcher because my husband wanted to. And I don't have any connection to the games. I've never played the games, and I've never read the books. So I have no connection to this whatsoever other than going, okay. So it's like the American Vampire Hunter D, but without all of the wonderful humor that Hideo I can't say my Japanese today. Kikuchi brought to the work. And I know I mispronounced his first name. I am sorry. I'm terribly sorry. But, you know, that's what so that's what we're watching. It's kind of low-rent Conan the Barbarian or Bran Mak Morn or Solomon Kane. Because, well, that's one of my favorite writers there. Robert E. Howard. Anywho, I could completely divert the podcast into being about nothing but Robert E. Howard. And I'm not. But I didn't allow myself to enjoy the show. And I can say that for a lot of the movies that I saw. Like, when I went to see The Rise of Skywalker, and I did do an episode on that, I sat and I watched it. And along with just trying to enjoy the parts that I could enjoy, I found myself desperately trying to understand J.J. Abrams' theory of story, because I couldn't figure out what was going on. I mean, there was a lot of plot, but it just didn't work. And then when I was watching Just Right the other day, he had this wonderful line where he pointed out that J.J. Abrams is all plot and no scenes, and all of those things that I was trying to make sense of while in the theater made sense to me. Well, that's why I couldn't dissect it the way I wanted to. There really are no scenes in that movie. And that's a topic for a later day that we can really go into, but we're going to in the Why We Can't Have Nice Things series. But, I didn't let myself really enjoy it either, even though it's a Star Wars film. And like all the Star Wars films, I went to see it in the theater because I'm a huge fan. I allowed my creativity and my desire to hone my craft to completely distract me from everything that I wanted to do in just having fun, just having a day out with my husband, just having a day out with my friends. And that's been really troublesome. I critique the storyline in games that I play. I critique the storyline in shows that I watch. And one could say that, well, you idiot, you do a podcast where you talk about these things, so of course that's going to be going through your mind. Yeah, but that's stuff I could think about later. I don't have to think about it in the moment. And that's where everything went wrong for me. And that's where I think, especially if you're experiencing writer's block, I'm one of those evil writers who doesn't believe in writer's block. I just think that sometimes we allow our creativity to dwindle to the point where we just don't have it in us to write. It's not that we're blocked, it's that our tank is empty. And I've let myself get there on too many occasions, and I really don't want to go back. And so I try to remove myself from the stress of daily life as much as I can. I try not to watch the news when I know it's going to be upsetting, because I know that that's just going to drain me and start dragging me back to that dark place that I haven't been out of long enough, and I still remember how it felt to be there. Yeah. Finding something to completely take me out of myself. That was the cure for so much of the creativity blocks that I was having. The need to find something to fuel me. And no, the secret wasn't this game or that particular show, though I have to say the most recent season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I've already watched it twice. Oh, it brings me life. It's so good. I love that show a little too much. But allowing myself to just get lost in it, to just drift away and allow it to happen, that's the secret. Because we get in our own way. We think we know what's best for us, and we think we know what we should be writing. And this isn't my pantser versus plotter argument again, because I think that there's a path for both, and at least for large chunks of the sci-fi epic that I'm working on, there will be plotting, because I need to know where it's going just to make sure that it can get there. Because it's going to be a large, sprawling book, and I don't want it to get too sprawling. So I will be doing some outlining. I don't know to what degree. But we need to take those times and make sure that we're having those moments where we remove ourselves from ourselves, where we lose track of time. We lose that sense of I in whatever it is. When I was younger and my knees and my back didn't hurt so much, I would find that on a dance floor. And I would go out and I would dance all night. And I miss that, honestly. I miss that so much. So you have to find what you can do now. What is it now that gives you that strength, that fills you up? For me, it was returning to a game that I used to enjoy and finding that I can have fun playing it again. I like how the story elements work, and the combat's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's okay. And I can let myself lose track of time and just play and just have fun. To play with my cats. My cats are a huge source of creativity for me right now. Because when McGonagall wants your attention, she will get it. She'll jump right in your face and take it. And that's what I love about her. Minerva kind of asks. Well, I guess that's all I can say about this without going into a large series of repeats. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did and you haven't already, please take a moment to rate it in whatever app you're listening to me on. That does help out a lot. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like to hear discussed on the show, I would love to hear from you. In the show notes, you'll find a link to the voice message system. Keep it short, keep it clean so I can use it on the show. I would love to hear from you. If you'd rather hit me up on social media, I am CE Dorset on both Twitter and Instagram, and you can find a link to everything that I do over at projectshadow.com. Yeah. Lots are going on right now, and hopefully I'll have more to share about all that soon. If you've got a buck you can pass my way, it really does help out a lot. In the show notes, you'll find a link to both listener support and my Patreon. That just $1 a month really does make a big difference. Helps me pay my bills and pay for the software and everything else that keeps this podcast going. And thank you to everybody who's already done that. If you don't have any money right now or you don't feel like giving, that's perfectly all right. But if you know somebody that you think would like what I do share it with them. That helps out more than you will ever know. Well, I guess that's it for today. I've got so much planned for the weeks ahead, and I just can't wait to get there with you. So until next time, don't forget, have the fun. Bye.